Namaste. Welcome. Today let's continue our discussion of the different breath patterns and their applications to asanas. And before we've discussed quite extensively about the rising breath pattern in relation to inhalation and conjunction with movements where we move away from gravity, like the forward jumps, the jump throughs, back bends, or even inversions. Today we're going to be talking about the exhalation. And the concept is the same. Yeah? The exhalation is still lengthening to the structure. So you might be wondering how come we could still move away from gravity, where the inherent behavior of the exhalation is downwards. Yeah, it's sinking. So energetically, it's called Uddiyana Bandha on the exhalation. When applied on the exhalation, you don't actually lose a space. Rather, you enhance the space by allowing the outer structure of the body to soften while moving the hollow inside the body higher and higher. Yeah? So this is best learned in positions where we flex the spine, such as forward bends, either standing or sitting, or inversions, or especially when you are entering an inversion. But for today, we're going to be talking about forward bends, sitting and standing, because the concept could be applied across all asanas where you flex the spine, or exhalation for that matter, especially those deep head openers when you bind your legs behind the head, if you're doing deep forward bends, or even preparation before you press up to a handstand. Alright, so this is a long tutorial, so you might want to save this to your playlist so you can just go back when you want to progressively work around the elements. Alright, so the first position will be a very common sitting forward bend is the Paschimottanasana. Alright. So we will approach this not from the perspective of the structure. So this will really help people who are not inherently flexible like me. I'm not inherently flexible, so I really trust my breath and I really trust my bandhas so I can get the most out of my structure. Right? So make sure you're warm before you do this, maybe a bit of a salutations before you do the drill. Alright, so sitting to your entry of the Paschimottanasana. So if you're not inherently flexible, if you cannot straighten the legs fully like this, you can even bend the knee, or you can have like a little bit of, like, for example, a block, yeah, to support your legs there. Yeah? Alright, so provided I'm using the block here. Yeah. So applying that first lesson we have with the rising breath pattern, so inhale, rise it up. Alright, but when you rise it up, you don't want to be fighting the ribs forward. Rather, just move your spine to a neutral vertical lift. Right, and exhale the breath out. Alright. Now, the exhalation is hugging, if I may. The exhalation is hugging down the side body. So the ribs will fold inwards as the side trunk lengthens upwards. So when you do that exhalation, as opposed to rounding like this, so what you do is to hug in and pull up. So this inhale. When you exhale, right, so you fold the ribs, especially the big ribs, towards the backs of your body, but the backs of your body lengthens forward. Yeah? So you don't want to be fighting the chest forward on the exhalation. Otherwise, your spine will go to an extension. Rather, you're going to keep that neutral flexion of the spine, but keep pulling the space below the big ribs upwards or towards the back. So your body will form like a dome right at the back. Instead of pointing, your body will look softer from the outside instead of being pointed or sharp. So the sensation would be you remain with the side body long, but the muscles beneath the big ribs as well as the muscles above the belly button will fold upwards as the belly goes hollow and you pull the space up, and the ribs drawn in as the whole of your upper back extends forward to the backs of the neck. Yeah, so your neck remains in neutral position with a little tucking of the chin in, and then lifting the root of the mouth up, so the backs of your skull moving away from the base of your neck or the base of your shoulders behind you. So let's apply that in a seated forward bend, right, with or without the blocks. Right. So inhale, rising breath pattern. If I may, so you can see the application of theory in the structure. So inhalation. So see, I don't push my chest forward like that. So it's more of a back and hooking up action. Let's inhale. As you exhale, instead of you pushing your chest forward, keep the alignment of your spine to a slightly flexed position, ribs drawn in. Pull those muscles below the ribs up as you hinge forward at the hips, and you're reaching. So don't fight the arms, don't overreach it. Yeah, especially at the bottom of the exhalation, your outer structure softens, it melts. So when you melt the outer structure, you're going to feel your limbs, especially the joints of the shoulders, the joints of the knees, and even the joints in the ankles soften, and they become open, then they become lighter. And then you're going to use that additional space to create a little bit more of that folding forward action, or to go deeper into the position. Right, so inhalation, exhaling. Right, so before you do your final fold, inhale just to create a little bit more space. You may want to open the front of the neck up. Right, and exhale, soften the ribs, let the arms go loose, let the legs go loose, don't fight them, and exhale it right out. So see, the structure is not pointed, rather the structure is softer. So the corners are actually softer, they're not pointed and rigid. Yeah? So they're softer, passive on the outer structure, so your arms are loose, your body, the outer body is loose, but inside is hollow and deep and folding upwards. Yeah. So instead of you muscling from the outside, so what you do is you use the inner muscles to create that support, so the rest of your outer structure become light and open and spacious. Yeah. So that's the application in the seated forward bend. Right. Next, standing. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you can fully straighten your legs, but I will approach this from the perspective that I'm lacking the flexibility down the hamstring. So I will bend my knees, or bend your knees as much as you need. Right. First inhale, just to lighten a little bit forward, just to release any trapped energy around the shoulders. On your exhalation, let it melt, melting. As you melt the outer body, yeah. So the ribs drawn inwards, and the muscles behind those big ribs slide upwards. So in here, at the bottom of the exhalation, let it go loose, loose. See, I don't straighten my legs fully. I keep my knees supported. I keep my thighs bent. Yeah. Rather, I focus on the melting action, or the melting effect of the exhalation, especially at the bottom of the exhalation. While I melt the outer structure, I will fold the lower, or I will fold the muscles here upwards. Yeah. So instead of your weight dumping down, all right, the outer muscles or the outer body softens towards the gravity, but inside it's pulling away from the gravity. So similar when we were doing it on the exhalation. It's just that in the inhalation, it's just that on the exhalation it's a little bit more tricky to apply, since the natural or the inherent action of the exhalation is dropping low. Other asanas, or other elements which will help you develop the full skill, is of course back bending, to keep your spine aware, to open the pathways of energy along the spine, as well as arm balancing as well, or head openness. All right, but that will happen as you go along with the journey. All right, but so the third position would be sitting. Kunchasana or the Heron position. So we will not be doing the full expression of modified position with your bottom knee bent. So you can see, so I'll just angle myself. Alright. So just bend your supporting leg sideways. Right. In here, yep. Kunchasana is a really good way for you to test both the inner muscles as well as the superficial muscles or the outer muscles of your body. Yeah, so that's why I chose this position. So it's a combination of both. And when you add the breath pattern, it makes a huge difference. So as opposed to just trying to straighten the leg, so you're gonna push the thigh forward now. So you want to keep your hips as close as possible to your lower side or to your lower back. So even if your knees are bent like this, even if your knee is bent like this, I would prefer that rather than this, and then you achieve nothing. Right? So bend your knees as much as you need here. So keep the connection, the hips and the lower spine. Right. So first inhale, and then move the side trunk long. Right. Let go of any trapped spot around the shoulders. You might lift the neck up first because it's a light extension. On your exhalation, instead of you pushing the thighs forward like that and then pulling that leg up like that, so what you want to do is to keep your legs as passive as you need. Inhaling, see, keeping the slight knee bent. On your exhalation, hug your body in, pull up, exhale like a hook. Right? So your spine will go to a light flexion, but not to the point that you're rounding. So as your spine flexes, you're going to pull the muscles upwards like a hook, and it lengthens the remaining of your upper back. Yeah. So inhalation, exhale, hugging in. Yeah, loosen up, loosen. Right. To release some, just inhale and then let go of any trapped spot around the shoulders, and then you will notice even if you don't lengthen the thighs, your legs or your thighs will naturally go longer. Like it will just straighten organically from the inside rather than you forcing it. Yeah. Right. Exhaling, melting the ribs in, but keep pulling that muscles upwards. The structure goes up as you exhale. Right. Now a good test here is to maybe let go of one arm, but don't dump it, rather exhale and hook it up. Right. Even the throat needs to pull up like that, like a gentle jalandhara bandha. Alright, one arm, a light inhale, just to move the spine a little bit longer. Exhale, hug in, and draw the muscles upwards. Right, so you might be staying here for like 3-4 breaths. You're going to feel it on the thighs, and then when the pressure builds up, catch the leg, inhaling. Alright, exhale, loosen the arms, and then bend your knees and return to your setup. So that's a good drill, yeah, for you to develop that skill. Even if you're exhaling, the structure keeps rising up or keeps moving and lengthening. Yeah? Alright, now the final drill will be a position called either the Navasana or the boat position or the Ubaya Padangusthasana when you're reaching hold of your heels. Alright, so let's try both. Alright, both legs sucking in, but you don't want to really squeeze them tight. Rather, the legs feel a bit passive but aware, but not rigid and tight. Right. So hug them in. Right. You may want to try first to balance on the sitting bones. Right. So in holding this, inhale light, just to create that light sensation. Exhale, hug in, but pull up. Yeah. So see, I don't really squeeze my knees too tight, otherwise my structure will feel rigid. So I want to make sure that my legs are passive and my arms are just like exhaling, melted, but draw up. Alright? So when you become very efficient with that, try to extend the legs. Actually, the Navasana is much more difficult than the Uddiyana Bandha, but it's a good preparation, it's a good drill, right? So you might want to first slide the hands to your calf just to make yourself supported. You can lean back a bit, yeah? Inhale, just open the fronts of your spine up, right? And exhale, hug them in. Next inhale, you're going to lengthen your legs up, just as far as you can keep the connection of your lower back and the hips. So if you're not very flexible like me, I would just keep my knees bent like that, but I keep my structure intact. Exhale, melt it, and pull up. Alright? And then let go an arm. Alright? But don't lose the connection, you don't want that. Let go of the other arm. Don't lose the connection. A light inhale, just to make your body lighter. Exhale, hug in and draw up. Hug in and rise up. Right. As opposed to this, you want exhale, rise it. Exhaling, melt the upper body, but keep the inner core aware. Alright, so that's a really good indication if you're ready to progress deeper, which is a more, I would say, a closer connection with the hips and the thighs, and more of your breath becoming the dominant action rather than the structure of your body. Yeah, so the Uddiyana Bandha. So hugging in like a little ball, do some. So the entry is not tight, the entry is soft. So you can keep that connection. You can keep the connection of the hips. You can keep the connection of your upper thighs together with the hips and the lower back. Alright, easy. Yeah, you're reaching hold of your heels from the outside. See, the knees remain soft and passive. You don't want to hug them, otherwise your body will feel tight. Right. As you inhale, applying that rising breath pattern, and the legs will rise. Exhale, loosen, melt it, like you are doing it in a sitting position. Keep the knees slightly open and soft. Exhaling. Alright. Inhale, rise the side body long. Open the neck a bit. Alright. Exhale, hugging in, but keep pulling up, keep pulling up. Yeah. Alright. So the action of the elbows, you might start with elbows wide, so you can just rise the side body long to create more space. Exhale. Yeah. Let the shoulders get out of the equation first. Alright. Now, when you're about and ready to go to your full position, as you inhale, you're going to slide the elbows down, but keep moving the side trunk long. You might want to open the neck first. Alright. On your exhalation, hugging inwards and draw upwards. Inhale first. Exhale. See, you don't round it, rather it's like a hook coming from the inside of the body. Even the exhalation is drawing up. Right. So to exit, inhale, the elbows go wide, so to free the spine. Inhale, exhale, bending your knees. Alright, and then you may want to cross and then just flow again for your next position. So those are the drills. But more important than the drill would be the breath pattern and how you apply them in the structure. Alright, to recap, the inhalation is rising. It lengthens the spine a bit. The exhalation is still rising in the structure, but the inner body, or is still rising in the side body or the structure, but it's hugging in as you hook upwards. So exhale. So keep the practice. It will really take a long time before you develop the full skill. As always, there's so many elements along the way that you need to learn. not just this particular tutorial. Elements such as back bends will help your spine open up a little bit more and create more space between the discs. Arm balancing to develop structural strength, especially the muscles of the core, or at least the superficial muscles of the core. Breathing exercises, especially Uddiyana Bandha, the breath of fire, the Nadi Shodhana. All of them, I have some past tutorials in this channel, so make sure you check them out. And of course, it's just practice over and over and over again until the elements happen lightly and you don't struggle, you don't over muscle every movement, so it becomes more organic and coming from the inside of the body rather just from the outside. So keep the practice alive. I will keep adding on some supplementary lessons together with this tutorial as we go along. I'm with you all the way. See you next time.